Seedance 2.0 and Kling 3.0 are two of the most powerful AI video models on the planet. Yet most people are still using them completely wrong. But before we get into the tests, there's something you need to understand first. These models aren't built the same way. Seedance is the premium option. It focuses on insane output quality, cinematic realism, and it's the only model that processes sound natively, which is why everything it generates is always perfectly on beat. But it's expensive, and it has heavy content restrictions, especially around realistic faces. Kling 3.0, on the other hand, is cheaper, faster, and way more flexible when it comes to generating real-looking people. I've put both of them through 10 tests inside Higgsfield: cinematic quality, complex motion, image to video, sound, emotion, fight scenes, and more. And there's one result that surprised me enough to completely change how I use both of these models. So let's start where it matters most: pure cinematic quality. First, we'll head over to Higgsfield and click on Create Video. From here, we can see all the models available to us, and we'll be switching between Seedance 2.0 and Kling 3.0 throughout these tests. We'll give both a wide landscape shot with a lone figure on a cliff edge at golden hour. All prompts will be linked in the description. Here's what came back. What Seedance does with the color science, the way light behaves, the depth in the shadows. It feels like it was shot on a cinema camera. Kling looks great, but Seedance looks cinematic. And that difference is going to matter a lot, depending on what you're making. So the first point goes to Seedance. But cinematic quality is only useful if the model can actually handle what's happening inside the frame. So I tested complex motion next. I originally prompted both models with a martial arts sequence. Both models opened on the character realistically, both captured the spin, but Seedance used almost every frame to showcase the motion itself. It got straight into it, held the complexity longer, and the slow motion at the peak of the spin was incredibly consistent. Kling spent more of its screen time on the intro, showing the character's feet first and panning up before getting to the actual action. It's subtle. But when you're generating action content, you want the model that maximizes the motion. Second point to Seedance. But this one was closer than the first. Now, let's talk about image to video, because this test taught me something about how Seedance 2.0 actually works, that most people don't know going in. To get the best out of it, you can't just drop in a text prompt. First, you need to build your character in a separate image tool. So I used NanoBanana Pro to generate a character portrait, an environment reference, a mood and lighting reference, as well as an outfit detail shot. 4 separate images. Then I fed all 4 into Seedance with a single prompt. A woman walking alone through a brutalist Eastern European courtyard in overcast afternoon light. This is what 4 references can do. Seedance maintained the character, the environment, the outfit texture, and the mood across the entire clip. Now Kling 3.0 works differently. Instead of reference images, it takes a start frame and an end frame. So I pulled those directly from the Seedance output, fed them into Kling, and used the same prompt. That way, both models were working from the same visual foundation. Kling did a solid job bridging the gap between the 2 frames. The motion was smooth and the character held up, but it's working with 2 data points. Seedance is working with 4, and you can feel that in the output. Third point to Seedance. Now, in that last test, I gave Seedance 4 reference images to work with. But what happens when there are no references, and both models have nothing to go on except the words in the prompt? That's where prompt adherence comes in. And this test looks at how accurately each model follows a complex, multi-element text prompt, right down to camera movement, lighting direction, subject action, and mood. So I gave both models the exact same prompt: a luxury watch reveal with a slow orbital camera move. Both models followed the prompt well, but Kling edged it. The lighting direction was significantly more visible in the scaling generation. Seedance interpreted the prompt well overall, but that specific lighting detail got a little lost. It's a small margin, but in a test specifically about following instructions, the details are everything. First, point to Kling. So now we know that both models listen well. Understanding a prompt and generating convincing human responses are two different things, which is why this next test is arguably the most practical one for creators today. Because UGC-style content typically features realistic people talking directly to the camera, I prompted both models with a scene of a woman holding her phone in selfie mode, talking directly to camera about a drink flavor she really enjoys, the kind of UGC ad you see all over TikTok and Instagram. Kling 3.0 generated it without hesitation. Handheld feel, natural light, convincing delivery. It's exactly what you'd want for a UGC campaign.
Why is nobody talking about this flavor? Like, genuinely, I don't understand why this isn't everywhere yet.
Why is nobody talking about this flavor? Like, genuinely, I don't understand why this isn't everywhere yet.
The realism is on another level, but it can be a hassle to use. So for user-generated content, Kling is just the obvious choice. But for our next test, the choice may not be as obvious, because we're going to be generating animations. And this is where things get unpredictable. For this test, I tried two completely different animation styles on both models, anime and 3D, and Seedance had something to say about that. For the anime prompt, I started with a Ghibli-style scene featuring a girl on top of a moving train at dusk. Seedance blocked it immediately, so I reframed it completely with no people or faces. A wolf on a snowy mountain peak at dusk, howling into the valley below, blocked again. At this point, I went fully abstract. A Japanese temple courtyard at dawn, cherry blossoms falling in slow motion. No characters at all. Seedance still blocked it. 3 attempts, 3 blocks, and I genuinely still don't know why. On the other hand, Kling generated the original anime prompt without any issues. The style was clean, the motion had that hand-drawn cadence, and the colors were exactly right. So for anime, this one goes to Kling. But the 3D test told a completely different story. For the 3D prompt, I used a small robot on a rooftop holding a glowing firefly with Pixar-level detail, and this time, both models generated without a problem. Both looked genuinely impressive, but Seedance had an edge in the cinematic quality of the lighting and the emotional weight of the shot. The way the firefly's glow interacted with the robot's surface felt more considered and intentional. So for animation, it's a split. Kling takes anime by default, and Seedance takes 3D. But given that Seedance couldn't even attempt the anime test after 3 tries, I'm giving this round to Kling. So we've seen how these models handle realism, motion, and style. But what about scenes, where everything is moving at once? I gave both models the same fight sequence to test complex choreography, multiple moving bodies, and impact moments. Both models delivered here and handled the physical complexity quite well. The collision impact and the way bodies moved through space felt grounded in actual physics, but neither was perfect. In the Seedance generation, the first couple of punches don't quite land, even though the contact isn't really there visually. In the Kling generation, the recovery after the crate impact felt a little off. The character gets up just a touch too quickly to feel believable. Both had their moments. Both had their inconsistencies. So this one's actually a tie. But for anyone making content with speaking characters, complex sound and dialogue is the test that matters most. And it's also where the difference between these two models becomes impossible to ignore. Here's something most people don't realize about Seedance. It doesn't add audio after the video is generated. It processes sound and video simultaneously in a single pass. That's why everything it generates tends to be perfectly on beat and in sync. So the prompt combined layered environmental sounds, explosions, and a character delivering a line of dialogue all at the same time.
We have maybe 3 minutes before this whole block goes down. Move.
The extraction is now.
The difference is immediately obvious. Seedance came back cinematic, immersive, and layered. The sound design felt intentional, and every element had its place in the mix, and the lip sync was perfect. Kling held its own, but the audio didn't have the same crispness, and the lip sync wasn't quite there. So, when audio matters, the point goes to Seedance. Seedance 2.0 took cinematic quality, complex motion, image to video, sound, dialogue, and emotion. Kling 3.0 took prompt adherence, UGC, and realism, animation, as well as price. The fight scene was a tie, yet still, the numbers don't tell the whole story. Neither of these models is better than the other, because they're built for different jobs. And now, you know exactly which one to reach for, depending on the situation. But these two are just a slice of what's available. You can access every other model all in one place inside of Higgsfield. So if you want to check it out, I will leave a link to it in the description below. If you found this useful, drop a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.